Hope you're all okay. Made it through another week. Basically, I just wanted to have a catch up. It may not take the full half hour. What I wanted to do for the next couple of weeks really was just to look at if there'd been anything, any new updates. I'm putting everything on social media. The other thing I was going to say was this is recorded, so I'm going to put it on. I set up a YouTube channel last week after the meeting, and I put the video from last week's call on there. So I'll record this. So again, if you don't want to be on the recording, obviously mute yourself or turn your video off. But I wanted to make this available for those that couldn't attend, really. And again, I'll put this on YouTube. So again, if you search for Zen Accountants or Zen Chartered Accountants on YouTube, I'll put video. I'm also going to try and put some more content on there, just in terms of how-tos and other bits and pieces, really, going forward. So okay, last week there's been further guidance on the job retention scheme. So that's obviously for either if you've got your own small limited company and you're on the payroll yourself, or if you've got a payroll with other people on it, this is relevant. One thing that's come this week, which was a little bit up in the air, but we were fairly happy, was the confirmation that owner directors should be allowed to claim the furloughing scheme. The guidance confirms, our understanding that directors, including those who are directors of their own personal service companies, can be furloughed. The HMRC have said, to quote them exactly, company directors owe duties to their company, which are set out in the Companies Act 2006, where a company acting through its board of directors considers its compliance with the statutory duties of one or more of its individual salary directors, the board can decide that such directors should be furloughed. So again, I had the question in the week, do all directors have to be furloughed? No, you could. So for example, if you've got husband and wife who are directors, you could just furlough the wife for the time being. Where one or more individual directors is furloughed is so decided by the board, this should be formally adopted as a decision of the company, noted in the company records and communicated in writing to the directors concerned. So again, for your own internal paperwork, you want to just do a little minute of a meeting, that who's being furloughed, etc., even if it's your own company. And then again, in terms of the question of, are you allowed to do any work, etc., when you're furloughed? The revenues comment exactly was, where furloughed directors need to carry out particular duties to fulfill the statutory obligations they owe to their company, they may do so, provided they do more than would reasonably be judged, do no more than would reasonably be judged necessary for that purpose. For instance, they should not do work of a kind they would carry out in normal circumstances to generate commercial revenue or provide services to or on behalf of their company. So again, bookkeeping, internal stuff, that sort of thing, but kind of not, not for generating income or that kind of thing. And again, the big question on the furloughing is when is the relief going to come? The guidance at the moment is saying probably likely to be the end of April. They are going to set up this portal where, I'm not sure whether we'll be logging in on behalf of clients, but we'll assist everybody with it, and hopefully we'll just run it as part of the payroll service. They're quite specific now on the information that's going to be required. So again, this is something we'll need if we haven't already got it, if we're going to be doing the furloughing. We need the PAY reference number, the number of employees being furloughed, the claim period, start and end date, the amount being claimed, per the minimum length of furloughing, which is three weeks minimum, or 3 months maximum at the moment. You need a bank account and sort code for the money to be paid directly into, the claimant's contact name and a contact phone number. And again, just to kind of reiterate for people, it's a grant, so it's not repayable. It covers 80% of the usual monthly wage costs, up to £2,500 a month per employee. They'll also add to it the employer's national insurance contributions, and if you're paying any auto enrolment pension, they'll cover the minimum auto enrolment pension contribution as well. At the moment, it's a temporary scheme running for 3 months from the 1st of March 2020. Obviously, none of us know what's happening time-wise, so it may roll on after the end period if necessary. And it's designed to help employers whose operations have been severely affected by COVID-19 to retain employees and protect the UK economy. However, all employers are eligible to claim under the scheme, and the government recognises different businesses will face different impacts from the coronavirus. Again, that's their kind of pretty much paraphrase what they said. To be eligible, you must have created and started a PAYE payroll scheme on or before 28th of February 2020. I've had a few people speaking to me over the last couple of weeks saying, we haven't got a PAYE scheme in place. Could we set one up? Unfortunately, it had to be in place on the 28th of February 2020. You need to have a UK bank account. So any entity with UK payroll can apply. This includes charities, recruitment agencies and public authorities. A message came through, I think this morning, saying that the furlough portal was being beta tested at the moment. So hopefully it will be, good to go fairly shortly, so people can try and get some funds in. Okay, again, obviously the other one that affects a lot of people that probably on this call is if you haven't got your own owner company, is the self-employed income support scheme. I know we spoke a bit about it last time, but again, I'll just reiterate. Again, it's a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. It is taxable, the income coming in, and it's a grant of 80% of the average profits, and it's looking at tax years 16, 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19, and you work out the average. If you weren't trading for the first couple of years, then obviously you'll just have the average of whatever year you have been trading. And again, it's up to a maximum of £2,500 a month, and it's for 3 months. Again, people are asking me, how do I apply for it? The grant will be paid directly into your bank account, and the official message at the moment is you cannot apply for the scheme yet. HMRC will contact you if you're eligible for the scheme and invite you to apply online. They're even stating individuals do not need to contact HMRC now, and doing so will only delay the urgent work being undertaken to introduce the scheme. It'll be introduced through the gov.uk portal, and they're saying obviously a lot of scammers around. If someone texts or calls or emails claiming to be from HMRC talking about this, then it's a scam. They're unlikely to be in touch by email. They're more likely to be in touch by paper. And then the revenue is saying that once they've received the claim and confirmed you're eligible for the grant, they'll contact you directly to tell you how much you'll get and the payment details. If you claim tax credits, they also need to be include the grant in your claim as income as well. When will the money arrive? It's payable for 3 months, and it's payable in one lump sum into your bank account. This money, they're saying, isn't going to be available till early June. And also the grant will be treated as taxable income, so it needs to be declared on your 2021 tax returns. And any taxpayers in receipt of working tax credit or universal credit, I know a few of our clients have applied for that. They'll have to treat this grant as part of self-employed income for 2021 when looking at universal tax credits, etc. A bit more detail. I know a lot of people will have VAT returns coming up, myself included. I think mine's going to be due towards the end of April. Just to reiterate, there is a VAT deferral in place, so you can not pay your VAT bill. This covers UK VAT registered businesses, and it covers VAT payments that are due between the 20th of March 2020 and the 30th of June 2020. The payment of the VAT returns still need to be put in. People are asking me, do I need to file the VAT return? Yeah, file everything as per normal is my recommendation. It's compulsory. You can defer the payment to a later date, or you can pay the VAT as normal. This scheme doesn't cover VAT MOS, the international scheme, or import VAT. My recommendation to people with this, and also the 31st of July deferral is, even if you've got the money set aside, like I have in my bank account, I put my VAT and tax aside. I'm going to hold off paying it. There's no penalties or interest being applied to it, and as we don't know how long the the COVID-19 pandemic's going to last or lockdown, I'd rather keep the money in my bank account in case I need it for working capital or staff wages, etc., until we know there's going to be an end point to this, really, and it's interest free. But just the caveat is, as soon as you're dipping into this money, you're pretty desperate because the money needs to be repaid at a later date. It's on the never. Again, just to reiterate, HMRC will not charge interest or penalties on any of the amount deferred. They said they'll still continue to process VAT reclaims and refunds. If you do choose to defer paying your VAT, the VAT needs to be paid on or before the 31st of March 2021. So it's pretty much almost like a 12-month deferral for that amount. You do not need to tell HMRC you're deferring your VAT payment. The one thing you need to remember, and again, this is myself included, I pay my VAT by direct debit, so I need to make sure I get my direct debit stopped. Otherwise, the VAT man will just take the VAT as per usual. And then a note, after the VAT deferral ends, VAT payments due following the end of the deferral period will have to be paid as normal. So that's just for this few months. And again, they said they'll release further information on this. One of the other things that's progressed a bit this month, I've had a few clients looking at the business interruption loan scheme. Obviously, a lot of these reliefs at the moment, the grants and things, they're not coming through for a few months. So people are going, what am I going to do in the meantime? So there's this business interruption loan scheme. Now, the banks have been, not as helpful as they could be in the situation. So the government has been mindful of this and listened to people and have jumped on the banks. So what they've done is they've modified the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. So far, apparently 1,000 facilities valued at 90.5 million have been approved by lenders. But again, the original scheme wasn't thought to be fitting the intention of the government. So although it's got off to a rocky start, the banks were asking small business owners to offer up personal assets for security, and even pointing them towards commercial loans rather than the government guarantee-backed products. So what the government has done now to assist with the loan thing is businesses can self-certify they've been impacted by COVID-19. The banks mustn't ask for any personal guarantees for facilities under 250,000. The banks can ask for guarantees over the 250,000, but recoveries under these are capped at a maximum of 20% of the outstanding balance. Because remember, the reason the government has incentivized the banks to do this is by offering security for the loan of 80%. So it lowers the risk for the banks. They're saying it'll now support lending to smaller businesses, even where a lender considers there to be enough security or where they should already be eligible to borrow on the bank's commercial terms. This means small businesses are eligible to receive the loan payment from lower initial payment and no fees. Some lenders have indicated they would not charge arrangement fees or early repayment charges. So the other thing, obviously, with loans, if this all finishes up early, sometimes loans are over a fixed term, and if you pay it off early, the banks want an extra charge to cover it. The really interesting thing on this is loans under 30,000. There are automated processes and a streamlined information portal. So for under 30k, hopefully there'll be some way where you can literally just do it, arrange it online, and get paid. Other thing, a bit more guidance on the time to pay helpline. So if you've got any other tax liabilities at the moment, prior to COVID-19 or anything coming up, corporation tax, The time to pay helpline has been modified. It's been around since 2008, but again, I think they've modified a bit of it for the COVID-19. And the guidance at the moment is saying, should a client already be paying under a time to pay scheme, they usually not be granted another scheme. However, under the coronavirus scheme, should an alternative instalment arrangement be required, they can contact the department and discuss a deferment of direct debit payment for up to 3 months. This will normally be granted, so the next payment will be due on the 5th of July. Should the taxpayer know the amount of the underpayment and also know they'll be able to make payments, they can agree an original time to pay instalment arrangement with no penalties being levied. The other thing with these time to pay, unfortunately, interest is payable, but they'll just defer the penalties. So one important practical point for people is to get tax returns and everything filed as per normal, even if you're getting deferment, just so that it's easier to negotiate time to pay, because obviously the revenue know what figures you're talking about. And like I said on the earlier webinar, the July instalment can be deferred until 31st of January 2021, but it's going to be the following year's payments on account that are going to have the effect of being reduced because of the coronavirus, because obviously the 31st of January instalment that some people have paid and the 31st of July one would be based on the profit for tax year end 5th of April 2019, and it's the 1920 tax year that finished a few days ago. So that year will have probably only 1 month effect of COVID-19. So the payments on account for that are probably going to stay similar, other than the deferment of paying the July instalment totally at the moment. So again, 1920 tax year is over. Try and get information in and your tax returns done, so you've got concrete figures on what your cash flow payments are going to be right up to the end of 2021, so you can kind of make sure your budgeting, your cash flow, and when we know where there's an end in sight with the COVID-19 situation, then it'll be easier to budget. So those are the main sort of developments in the week that's come out. Just a little bit more guidance. Still a lack of practical things. For example, where's the portal to apply, whether people have been approached by HMRC for getting the self-employment claim. So again, a bit more detail, but we're still not there on being able to actually get these claims in and get the monies rolling. So that's all I want to cover in terms of anything new this week. So if anyone's got any questions or experiences they want to share, again, like I said last time, I'm releasing information on social media daily if there's anything coming across my desk that I think is useful to clients or contacts. So again, if you locate anything, please, if you can share it back to me, and then I can share it out to the community as well, so we can all help each other get through this. So anyone got any questions on this? Any experiences that would be useful?
Yeah, just a question on the sort of furloughing scheme. If staff have got other jobs, or if anybody in the company has other work coming up during the time that isn't through the company, is that still legitimate to have them furloughed for the?
Yes, that's fine. You can have multiple jobs and you can be furloughed on several jobs, or you can have one job continues and you can be furloughed on one. You can also have self-employment and jobs and be furloughed, and you can also you're entitled, when you're on furlough, to continue self-employed work, and even they're encouraging you to do volunteering.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not an issue.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other queries?
It's Tom here. How you doing?
Yeah, hi Tom.
I just was wondering, I imagine you might have covered it last week, but just on the kind of directors' low salary and taking dividends, there's no kind of change in the original government advice that we're not going to be able to get anything off our kind of yearly returns. It's going to be based on an average of what we've taken on payroll?
Yeah, sadly, at the moment, obviously, a lot of owner managers have, you know, the most tax efficient route is to have the low salary of like 713 or 719, that kind of figure, and then extract the rest as dividends. At the moment, the reliefs will just be the 80% of the director's salary. A lot of people, myself included, have sent proposals and signed petitions to government to see if we can address the issue, because obviously small business owners, for them, the dividends and the salaries is their earnings. The government's response a couple of weeks back was, their comment was, oh, it's too complicated to do the dividends route because people may have dividends, you know, from other investments and shares. Well, that doesn't really stack up in my opinion. So that's all I can say is representations have been made to government, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, myself and a number of other accountants in practice that I know. We've certainly made representations to the Institute, and we hope that they'll you know, go to government about this, but it's very much a case of watch this space, unfortunately.
Hey Craig, Josh here.
Yeah.
I came in a couple of minutes late, so sorry if you addressed this. In terms of like furloughing yourself, sole director, is this something that should have been done already, or when the portal comes up, it's then kind of guidelines on how to furlough yourself, and then it's backdated to a point of when you lost your income?
Yeah, the thing you can do at the moment is obviously to you know, do an internal minute of a meeting. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, but you do it to yourself almost. You've got a bit of paper saying that you've been furloughed, and then from a practical point of view, the earliest it will be backdated to is the 1st of March 2020. The portal was beta tested this week, and they're saying that the portal should be available at the end of April. It'll be through the .gov.uk sort of service, and you know, as soon as that's available, we'll just need to find out. Earlier on in the meeting, again, I'll save this onto a YouTube channel so you can play it back. But I did explain, and I think I've already put out on social media some guidance from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and it's got a list of very specific information that will need to be entered into the portal. So again, have a look at that and just make sure you got your info together, so as soon as the portal lands at the end of April, you know, we can get in. And like I said, as soon as I get any information that the portal's up and running, you know, I'll be posting out, or I'll probably do an email to clients and things.
Sweet. And then, sorry, just a follow up on that. Like, I have myself on fortnightly payments, and I have a payday coming up in a couple days. Is that something I still follow through with, or is that like on hold for now if I'm planning on, you know, furloughing myself?
In terms of operation of the payroll, you keep operating the payroll pretty much as normal.
Okay.
Unless you know, if you're director only, the whole idea of the business support, you know, job retention scheme was to kind of try and maintain business as usual for the employees. I know companies that do employ other people have kind of gone to employees and reduced the payroll, and your employment law and your contracts still apply, so you still need to pay people in accordance, if you're employing other people other than yourselves, in accordance with the law. But in terms of generally, you run your payroll gets run as per normal, and then you get the grant back from the government, which will subsidise the payroll costs at a later date.
Okay.
Any other queries? Any experiences anyone's had? Has anyone had any information through from HMRC, if you're self-employed, about applying for any money yet? Because I've heard from some people they have had contact from HMRC, but I've not heard anybody, you know, directly.
Hi, Craig.
Yeah, hey, Rob.
The only thing I've had is a letter from Bristol City Council, because we were on small business rate relief, and there's that grant available there, which I've applied for.
Oh, great.
And I put in, is very straightforward.
Is that a portal? Is that a portal on on the?
Yeah, there was an address on the letter. They actually sent out letters, which didn't work for a few days. But I tried it again yesterday and it worked. And there was about half a dozen questions, and that was that.
Oh, great. That's good.
So I've put in for that, and we wait.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing with any of you guys out there, again, because the problem with the furlough, and if you've got employees, is, you know, they're saying it's not going to, you know, come for a little while. This automatic 30k business interruption loan thing, that if you can apply online, could be quite good. You know, if there's no charges or costs associated with it, to just tide you over until the grants come in.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes, really. Excellent. Any more questions? All right, nice one, guys. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for dialing in, and thanks for your feedback. And if there's anything else you want covered, like I said, I'll run another one next Thursday, and see how it goes. Like I said, if there's not a lot of developments, we'll keep it short. It's just a catch up. But again, if there's anything you specifically want covered, or anything that comes up during the week, or again, any experiences you want to share or anything, if you can let me know, and I'll try and include it on the webinar for next week. Okie doke. All right, nice one, guys. Yeah.
Thanks, Craig.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.